Welcome back, fellow artists. So in today's video, I'm going to share a free course with you here on YouTube. So this is actually going to be 5 different lessons. If you want to follow along, they'll be in sequence. I'll add them to a playlist for you. But essentially, it's going to teach you the techniques for drawing faces. It's more geared for beginners, and I'll be using Sketchbook Pro, but you can follow along with any software that you want. And so let me know what you think of the content. And without further ado, let's jump in and learn to draw some faces. Okay, the first thing to cover is creating face shapes. Obviously, everyone's got a very different face shape, so there's a lot of variety that can be placed into your characters here. But just to give it a basic starting point, one nice thing to start with is just a circle. So you can sketch a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, mine's definitely not. And then from that circle, draw just a basic, I'll even simplify it further. I was going to say just a basic wedge shape, but let's do a square and then a triangle. It doesn't get much more basic than that. So I'm pretty sure at this point anybody could follow along with this. And don't let the simplicity of whatever we draw scare you off and thinking that maybe something's too basic for you. It's okay to start with very basic shapes to work up to your forms. It doesn't mean you're less of an artist. Okay, so now to refine this a little bit more, we started with a circle, a square, and a triangle, and now we've got a little bit more of what would almost look like an anime head with the pointed chin. If we want a little bit more realism, we can just add a flat spot to the bottom of the chin there and get rid of that point. And pretty quickly we have a semi-realistic head shape. We still want to keep it pretty basic for now because we're still laying in what I would call construction lines. Okay, now with that being done, let's take a line directly down the middle and directly across. And we're going to talk more about laying out proportions as we progress, but I just want to show you by laying these in, you can get a better visual for the head shape itself. So we're not going to take that much further. First, I want to elaborate into a variety of head shapes, and we'll discuss the proportions later. So there's one of our head shapes. Let's go ahead and duplicate this now. Move this over. And I want to show you how you can change a head shape like this and come up with a new character. Now you can obviously just redraw an entire new head shape or modify the existing one. So I'll soft erase this down, just like I'm working on paper. Okay, so now I want to show that this person maybe is a bit more heavy set. If you were to use this first initial shape, it would show that they're in relatively good form. So let's go ahead and take this a step further. We'll use the same basic head shape at the top. We'll add more of a rounded lower jawline and even a more rounded chin. And we'll picture that it comes into the jawline shape like this. So you can see that we haven't changed much there, but it yields already a different look to the character. Now when figuring in your head shapes, you can also figure in the ears because obviously the ears create a uniqueness to the character as well. So we'll say that this person has a little bit smaller ears, like so. And I won't get into too much detail yet. We'll go back to the first one and we'll say that maybe this character has a little bit thinner but also taller ears, just to show some variety there. Okay, let's go ahead and shrink this head, which is always fun to do, and move that up and over. And I guess what I'll do is I'll duplicate this layer one more time, and we'll adjust this to be yet another head. So again, I'll soft erase this down. Okay, so now I want to try to come up with something different from the initial two, obviously. Let's go ahead and take this a step further as far as weight, and we'll use the same head shape, but now we're really going to add a bit of weight and added form to the head. So we're going to make the jawline lower and a bit more sagged down. The ears don't matter, but we could probably even make those a bit smaller in comparison, which would add an increased size and feel to the shape of the head. We could also make the top of the head appear smaller by comparison to the lower jawline, which again will all add to the effect that the character is a bit more weighted. And then lastly, we could even widen out the entire head a bit like that. Let's go ahead and bring that up. And yeah, I think that we've given a fair amount of weight to that next head now. So let's take the first one and let's do this again, where we copy it, we'll move it down, soft erase. I'm going to actually start by stretching it inward, giving it a more elongated feel to the head shape. And let's go ahead and give the cheekbones a little bit more definition. Bring the jawline in a bit and make the chin line, or the very chin shape, protrude out more. So basically enhancing the effect that this person is very slim and maybe even a bit malnourished. The head shape can stay the same. And to also give more of this effect, we'll do the ears a little bit different shape, but nice and thin and tall. So there's yet another version of the head there. And another thing to keep in mind when creating these various head shapes is that the hairline itself is also going to add another shape to the face. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw in a basic hairline to give you an idea of what also lends to the variety of head shapes that you might create. So any number of hairlines that you create like this will in turn just give you a little bit different feel to the overall face. For instance, on this character, with the cheeks protruding out further to show weight, maybe the hairline goes back and recedes behind those cheeks. And obviously the way the brow interacts will also add another effect. But by doing that, you can show a more slender individual that might have their sideburns showing more. But somebody that has larger cheeks, maybe the cheek line kind of comes in front of that a little bit. So it's taking note of little things like that that help you define all these different faces. And then obviously if they have more of a cut style, maybe the one side drops down in front, comes down unevenly from side to side. So the hairline definitely adds another dynamic to creating these characters. Now let's go ahead and duplicate this face one more time. I just want to make sure we have a nice variety of characters to work with. So let's take this character, let's widen them back out. A bit like that. Soft erase this down. And now what I want to do is make sure that we get a nice rounded face with more of a pointed chin. So one thing to take note of when drawing the female faces is that they're typically going to be more widened out at the cheekbone areas and then more pointed down to the chin line and a smaller, more petite chin. And sometimes more defined cheekbones, but it really just depends on the character. Smaller ears by comparison to the head shape will also tend to look more feminine. And we'll just do a basic hairline. Something like this would be more of a rounded face with a pointed chin. And there's often times when creating face shapes like this, people will relate them to the basic shapes: square, circle, heart-shaped face, things like that. I don't want to get too much into that because I want you to think past that a little bit and think of it more in terms of what the facial features create, more so than just the basic shapes. So that's how I would create a variety of face shapes. Next, we'll go ahead and measure and add facial features to our head shapes here.